Hello students, today we are going to start with Unit 7, the simple sentence. Before we start with 7.1, close patterns, let's talk about the types of the sentence. You've learned before the types of the sentence: simple, compound, and complex sentence. So we will present examples to indicate the difference between such kinds of sentences. In saying I had my lunch, we present one idea, which is about having the lunch. This sentence is called simple sentence because it contains only one thought or idea. While in the sentence I had my lunch and I washed the dishes, here we've got two ideas. The idea about having lunch and the idea about washing dishes combined with the conjunction and. In the sentence, I had my lunch when I was out, I have one idea, which is main, having lunch, and the other idea about being out, which is dependent idea. It is a minor idea. The first one, I had my lunch, is the main one, as I've said before. When I was out can be omitted from the sentence, but you cannot omit I had my lunch and say when I was. When you were out, when I was out, sorry. So if you are going to say when I was out, Hira is going to ask you, what did you do? What's about being out? So the first one is simple, the second is compound, and the last one is known as complex sentence. What we else need to know about is the terms dependent, independent, not finite, and not finite. Dependent means that the clause which cannot be uttered alone, as when I was out. When I said when I was out, and stop saying anything else, the listener is going to ask you, what did you do? What about being out? So this is dependent. Independent, no. In saying I had my lunch, this is a dependent clause because it can be uttered alone with complete meaning, where the dependent, no, cannot be uttered with complete meaning. Finite and not finite is something related to the tense, mood, and aspect of the sentence. So we are going to depend on the tense. If you can't decide the tense of the sentence, as in I had my lunch, which is past, in this case, this is finite. But when you cannot decide the tense, when you have a clause which refers to any type, any time, so it is non-finite, as in saying playing football, لعب كرة القدم, in any time. So this is non-finite. The clause can either be dependent or independent. Dependent can either be finite or non-finite. This means that you can have dependent finite clause, dependent non-finite clause. But if it is independent, no, it's going to be finite only. Let's have a look at such examples. If you say, he kicked the ball. It's a clause, it's a sentence. It is finite, independent. But when you say that he kicked the ball surprised me, all of it is a sentence, part of which is the subject here, is a clause, that he kicked the ball. أنه ضرب الكرة. This is dependent, finite. Dependent because you cannot say that he kicked the ball and stop saying anything else. You should complete your sentence. And it is finite because it is in the past, kicked. In the sentence, kicking the ball is easy for him. This is a sentence, part of it, which is the subject, kicking the ball, is a dependent clause and it is non-finite. Kicking the ball, ضرب الكرة. There is no time. Is he talking about kicking the ball in the past, in the present, or in the future? Again, to kick the ball, he used his left. Here, to kick the ball is an adverb. It is a clause. It is dependent and it is not finite to plus per infinitive. punished, معاقبا. He felt depressed. Here punished is an adverb. It is a clause. It is non-finite. Though you may say, but it ends with ed. Yes, but this is not a tense. This is an adverb. You can say معاقبا, معاقبا. So it is not, it doesn't decide a tense. Instead, it's here used as an adverb. It is non-finite clause, and it is, of course, dependent one. This about the terms finite and non-finite. Let's get back to Unit 7, clause patterns. First, he refers to simple and complex sentence. We've declared what is meant by simple and what is meant by complex sentence. If you have a look at the sentence, I quickly shut the door before the animal could escape. This is a complex sentence. It has a main part, I quickly shut the door, and minor part, before the animal could escape. And here, I subject, quickly, adverb of a process, shut, verb, object, the door. The adverb is a clause, all of it, before the animal could escape. Before the animal could escape, it is a clause. It is dependent clause. It is finite clause. So here, the adverb is in the form of a clause. It is subordinate clause, minor clause, while the whole sentence is subordinate clause, which is main clause. Now we turn to talk about clause types or clause patterns. Clause types, we are going to talk about the elements of the sentence and what are the patterns that a sentence could occur in. For example, a sentence may be in the pattern subject, verb, adverb. Mary is in the house. Here, the verb is described as being intensive. It shows a relationship between the subject and the adverb. In the house is the adverb, Mary is the subject. The other pattern is subject-verb complement. Mary is the subject, is again the verb, is intensive, and kind or a nurse, a complement. The complement can be in the form of an adjective, kind, or in the form of a noun phrase, a nurse, or even a pronoun when you say, it's me. When you are going to knock at the door and someone is going, who is it? You are going to answer, it's me. Me here is a complement. It can also be a clause, as if you are going to say, my happy is riding horses. My happy is riding horses. My happy is the subject, is the verb, and riding horses is the complement. We are going to have more examples. Now, the sentence can be in the form subject, verb, object, as when you say somebody caught the ball. Somebody subject caught. The verb here is more transitive. It's followed by only one object, which is the direct object. Subject, verb, object, adverb. I put the plate on the table. I subject, put, verb, complex, transitive. It's complex because it is followed by an object and an adverb. The plate is the object and on the table is the adverb. Here you cannot omit any of these of the elements of the sentence. No one. You cannot omit neither the object nor the adverb, neither the subject nor the verb. Subject, verb, object, complement. Subject, we have proved the verb, which is complex transitive, again because it is followed by object and complement. Him, object, wrong, wrong, adjective. A fool is again a noun phrase. Here they are both can be or can function as a complement, object complement. Him, wrong, wrong, him, a fool, him, a fool. Both him, wrong, him, fool refer to one entity. Subject, verb, object, object. She, subject, gives verb, die transitive because it is followed by two objects. Me, the first object, expensive represents the second object. And the last pattern subject verb, the child laughed. Here the child is the subject and the laughed is the verb, which is intransitive. It means that it doesn't have a complementation, neither complement nor a verb or an object. The complementation, we have either object complement or subject complement. and the complementation and the object in all the sentence or in all sentence patterns that we have just discussed are obligatory. We see that some you may have within a sentence obligatory elements and optional elements. The optional ones that you can omit without changing or affecting the meaning of the sentence. So direct objects and the complement and adverb in all the sentence, the clause patterns are obligatory elements. Sometimes we can change a sentence or transform a sentence from one pattern into another without changing the meaning. As in he's eating, here he's eating. We may change a sentence from pattern into another, keeping the same verb. He's eating, subject verb. He, subject, is eating verb. He's eating an apple, subject verb object. He made her career, subject verb object object. Subject he made, verb her career object. He made her career a success. Here he, subject, made verb. Her career is the object and a success is a complement. He's teaching, subject verb. He's teaching German, subject verb object, and he's teaching the boys, subject verb object object. So we may have a verb within a sentence, and this verb may be act as intransitive verb or a transitive mono, transitive di. It means that it can be followed by one object or two objects. Here again, about optional adverbials, we've said that the complement, the object, or sometimes the adverbial are obligatory, but another times we may have optional adverbials. Let's have a look at some sentences and decide whether the adverbial are optional or obligatory. For example, sometimes she sings beautifully. Here, the sentence of the pattern is she sings, so both adverbs sometimes and beautifully, both of them are optional. In America, most students are now on vacation. In America and now, optional can be omitted and say some or most students are on vacation. She kindly sent us some photographs. Kindly can be omitted and say she sent us some photographs. Transformational relations. One way of distinguishing the various clause types is by means of transformational relations or relation of a grammatical paraphrase. We can sometimes paraphrase the sentence from being active into passive, keeping the same meaning. But what is the difference? The difference that you are going to focus on an element which is rather than the subject. The clauses containing noun phrase as object are distinguished by their ability to convert it into passive clause. The object noun phrase assuming the function of subject. When you are going to change the sentence from the active into passive, the object is going to be or going to function as the subject of the verb in the passive. Let's have a look at the sentence. Many critics disliked the play. Many critics is the subject, disliked the verb, the play is the object. I can transform the sentence into passive. The play was disliked by many critics. Here the play was the object in the sentence. Now it is the subject, and the object put at the end of the new sentence preceded by prepositional by. And this case is going to be function or is going to function as an adverb. The verb is going to be described as being verb passive. Now, sometimes we transform the sentence from active into passive because we are not interested in anything else rather than the result. Our focus is not on the action or the agency. Our focus is, or we draw all our attention into the result of the action of the verb. When we say the window was broken by a younger son, the window was broken by my younger son. Here we are focusing on the result that the window now is broken. I know how the window got broken. Here, when I use got broken, I focus directly on the result that the window now is broken. The window now is broken, so I use got if I want to focus on the result rather than the agency or the action. If we want to express a gradual achieved result, again, we are focusing on the result, but this result have been achieved gradually. So I said, with the passage of time, the furniture became covered in dust. I'm going to use become if I'm talking about the gradual achieving of the result or the result which is gradually achieved. Now we have another examples about transforming sentences from the passive active into passive. For example, Queen Victoria considered him a genius. Queen Victoria is the subject, considered verb, him object, a genius complement. The most important thing in transforming from active to passive is the following. Number one, put the object at the beginning of the sentence is going to be the subject. Number two, transform the verb from or put the main verb in the passive form, in the past participle form, in the past participle form. Then if you have any auxiliary modal verb, put them in the new sentence. And if any other elements like the complement, for example, or the second object or the adverb, again, put it in its place in the new sentence. And finally, use one of the verb to be before the main verb which you transformed in the past participle, and pay attention to put in the suitable form according to what precedes it. Okay, so number one, Queen Victoria considered him. The object is him, is going to be the subject, he. The main verb considered, it is in the ed form, ed past. I'm going to say considered in the past participle form. I'm going to use one of the verb to be, was. Why was? Because the sentence, Queen Victoria is in the past and he singular, so I'm going to use was. What else? What do I have? I have a genius. Again, I'm going to put it in the new sentence, a genius. I'm going to keep it where it was. The subject, Queen Victoria, is going to be preceded by Queen Victoria. An intruder must have placed the ladder there. An intruder subject must have placed verb, the ladder object, and there is the adverb. What we are going to do? We are going to look for the object, the ladder. The main verb is placed. I'm going to put it in the ed past participle form. What do I have? I have again, and must have. We are going to keep them in the new sentence, must have. And I'm going to place before the main verb, place one of the verb to be, which is suitable. Since I have, I'm going to use been, by intruder, which is the subject. I was given this watch by my father. My father gave me this watch. In this sentence, I have two objects, so I'm going to have two passive form. Either I was giving this watch by my father, or this watch was given me by my father. So I have two forms of the passive. Another examples about changing the sentence into passive is the following. I have a lot of sentences. So let's start with, for example, somebody catches the ball. Somebody catches the ball. Verb in the present. The ball is the object. It's going to be the ball. The ball. We transform the verb from the present catches into caught. This is the ed past participle form of the verb by someone. And I'm going to insert an auxiliary verb. Is why is, because the subject is singular. The sentence was is in the present tense, catches, so I'm going to use is. We watch the ball. Again, the ball is caught. We catch the ball. The ball is caught by us. Here the object became the subject. A verb in the ed form, the ed past participle form. By us, we should be transformed into us because be is a prepositional phrase. And we insert is why? Because the ball is singular and the sentence or the main sentence is in the present form, catch. So I'm going to use is. We catch the balls. Again, the balls are caught by us. The goalkeeper caught the balls. The balls were caught by the goalkeeper, and the boys caught the ball. The ball was caught by the boys. They are fixing the car. The car is being fixed by them. He is fixing the car. He is fixing the cars. So the cars are being fixed by him. Again, the car is the object, became the subject. The verb is fixing, is going to be fixed. I have is going to be are. Why? Because he was singular, so is. But now I have the cars, becomes are. I'm going to insert one of the verb to be before the main verb. Why being? Because I have are. So I have to use being. I must use being. He was saying something. Something was being said by him. They were saying something. Something was being said by them. Something was being said by them. The same form, though the main sentence is different. The student has smoked many cigars. Many cigars have been smoked by the student. The student have smoked a cigar. A cigar has been smoked by the student. Has, not have, because I have a cigar, not cigars. If the sentence, the student has smoked a cigar, whether it is the student or cigars, I can say a cigar had been smoked by the student or the students, or cigars again had been smoked by the student or the students. Why? It won't make any difference in using had because it is in the past and it is used with singular or plural. He will do anything will be done by him. They will remember them. They will be remembered by them. I could do that. That could be done by me. You must keep him in your class. He must be accepted. You must accept him in your class. He must be accepted in your class. So this is the way that we transform the active into passive sentence. Now, what else I should talk about is that sometimes I may have a sentence with certain close pattern. I can change it into another pattern keeping the same meaning. See, the baby is sleeping, subject verb. I can say the baby is asleep, subject verb complement. In this case, the pattern is changed, but the meaning is the same. Two loaves would suffice, subject verb. Two loaves will be sufficient, subject verb complement. He hurried, subject verb. He went fast, subject verb, adverb. He is jobless, subject verb complement. He is without a job, subject verb, adverb. 7.6 Intensive relation. Intensive relation means that there is a relation between two elements, particularly between the subject and the complement, or the object and the complement. But let's have a look at the sentence. I imagined her beautiful. I, subject, imagined verb, her object, beautiful, complement. Again, I can change the close pattern of the sentence, keeping the same meaning. I imagined her to be beautiful. I, subject, imagined verb, her object to be beautiful, complement in the form of a clause. I imagined that she was beautiful. I, subject, imagined verb. That she was beautiful is the object, which is in the form of a clause. It is in the form of a clause. So another example, she sent Jim a card. Here subject, verb, object, object. She sent a card to Jim, subject, verb, object, adverb. She left Jim a card, subject, verb, object, object. She left a cup for Jim, subject, verb, object, complement. So sometimes we can change the close pattern of the sentence, keeping the same meaning. The two sentences, though they are different in the close pattern, but the meaning is identical or the same. Again, I'll play you a game of chess. I'll play a game of chess with you. Subject, verb, object, object, subject, verb, object, adverb. Multiple, 7.7, multiple class membership of verbs. Here we put in mind that one verb can belong to a number of different classes. We've said that the verb is either transitive, intransitive, intensive, monotransitive, ditransitive, but sometimes I may have a verb which is transitive, intransitive, intensive at the same time, as it with the verb get. Of course, the meaning is going to be different. He's getting angry. Subject, verb, complement. It is intense and it is intensive here. He got through the window. Subject, verb, adverb. He will get a surprise. Subject, verb, object. It means that the verb get here is monotransitive. He got his shoes and socks wet. Here it is complex transitive. He got himself into trouble. Subject, verb, object, adverb, complex transitive. He got her a splendid present. It is ditransitive. Got. Sometimes you may find an ambiguity in deciding to which close pattern this sentence belong. For example, I found her an entertaining partner. She called him a steward. Either I, subject, found verb, her object, an entertaining partner is another object, or it is a complement. So you can say either subject, verb, object, complement, or subject, verb, object, object. She called him a steward. Either subject, verb, object, complement, or subject, verb, object, object. If I am going to translate this, he called him a steward. نادته بالخادم, subject, verb, complement. نادت له خادما, subject, verb, object, object. Now, 7.8, close element syntactically defined. We are going to talk about the syntactic features of the close element, the subject. The subject, of course, is the first element of the sentence. It's normally a noun or phrase. When I'm going to say the teacher is my brother, or a clause with nominal function, playing football is my hobby. It occurs before the verb, of course, before the main verb, the auxiliary verb or modal verb, or the verb phrase. Has number and person concord. If the subject is singular, the verb is going to have se, or if it is verb to be, is going to be is or was. If it is the first person, I'm going to use I am, second you are, third they are, she is, he is, it is. The object, direct or indirect, of course, again, it is like the subject, either a noun or phrase. When I'm going to say I met the teacher is a noun or phrase, or a pronoun, it's me, or, a pronoun, for example, I met him, not it's me, here is a complement. I met him. Him is the object. It is in the form of an object, in the form of a pronoun. Or it may be a clause. For example, I like playing football. I like playing football. I'm going to present some examples, more examples about such things that the subject and the object can be noun, phrase, pronoun, or a clause. The other thing is they are following the subject and verb. Yes, it comes after the subject and the verb, but in the passive, of course, it's going to be the first element. The indirect object is within the sentence, it precedes the direct one. I'm going to say, I gave him a present. Him is the indirect object, the recipient. It precedes the direct object. But sometimes it can follow the direct object when, for example, I'm going to say I gave Jim a card. No, I'm going to say I gave a card to Jim. I gave a card to Jim. So it can precede, it's most of the time it precedes the direct object, but it can also follows the direct object. The complement, for example, subject or object. When I'm going to say he's a teacher is a complement. When I'm going to say I made him captain is an object complement. It is again a noun phrase, could be an adjective phrase, a clause. A noun phrase, he is the teacher. An adjective phrase, he is very kind, the complement in the form of adjective phrase. A clause, my happy is playing football. My happy is playing football. My happy is the subject, is verb. Playing football is the complement in the form of a clause. Follows the subject verb phrase, of course. Subject verb complement, it comes after the subject and the verb, and it comes after subject verb object if it is object complement. Doesn't become subject through the passive transformation. If I have a sentence that has complement, for example, she is a teacher, we cannot transform this sentence into passive, so the complement cannot be the subject of the sentence. Adverbial. It is an adverb phrase. For example, he speaks very slowly. Very slowly is an adverb, which is adverb phrase. Adverbial clause. For example, I met him when I was in London. When I was in London, it is the adverb, which is in the form of a clause. Noun phrase, I met him last year. Last year is a noun clause. Prepositional phrase, I met him in London. In London is a prepositional phrase, which is the adverb of the sentence. It's or it is generally capable of occurring in more than one position in the clause. Yes, can occur at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end of the sentence. It is generally option. Yes, it can be removed from the sentence and without affecting the main idea of the sentence. And sometimes, no, certain patterns it is obligatory, as with subject verb adverb. When I'm going to say he is in the garden, I cannot omit the adverbial. When I say I put the plate on the table, I cannot omit on the table, because the meaning is going to be affected. But in a sentence like, for example, I met Ali yesterday, it's okay if you say I met Ali without yesterday. Yesterday or omitting yesterday won't affect the meaning of the sentence. I've said that I'm going to give some example about the sentence, type of the sentence which has some elements as a clause. For example, in riding horses is my hobby. Here I have a sentence, riding horses is the subject, is the verb, and my happy is complement. Here the subject, riding horses, is not a noun, nor noun phrase. It is not a pronoun. It is a clause which is in the form of ing clause, dependent, non-finite. The complement could be a clause. My happy is riding. My happy is the subject. It is a noun phrase, is verb. Riding horses is the complement. It is in the form of a clause, which is ing clause. You should pay attention to this. He is riding horses. Here, he subject is riding verb, and horses is the object. So this is not a clause. This is something different. I like riding horses. The object can be a clause. I subject, like verb, riding horses is the object. Riding horses is the object, which is in the form of a clause, ing, a clause. I gave whoever came a present. I subject, gave verb. Whoever came is the indirect object. A present is the direct object. Here the indirect object, whoever came, is a clause. It is finite clause, finite dependent clause, WH clause, as you will see later on, inshallah. I subject, gave object, him object, which is indirect. Whatever he asks for is the direct object, which is in the form of a clause. It is WH clause, it is dependent clause, it is finite clause, because you can't decide the tense. Here it is dependent and finite because you can decide the tense. So the object can be in the form of a clause. And you can have a lot of such examples. This is enough for us first lecture related to Unit 7. Meet you or inshallah in the next lectures.